What the hell do you think you're doing, you festering sore? If you keep buying that crap, pack your things and get out. No one wants you here anymore. Ryan's voice, sharper than usual, sliced through the morning calm, jolting me before my coffee even had a chance to cool. He loomed over me, my own son, treating me like some stray dog caught gnawing on the rug. Dana, his wife, clung to the kitchen counter, arms crossed, her eyes narrowed to slits. She didn't need words. Her judgments were delivered in cold glances, clenched lips, or the deliberate way she'd shift the dinner plates just out of my reach when I offered to help. I looked down at the offending article in my lap, a scratch-off from the gas station down the street. It was a harmless ritual, a tiny rebellion. Some people knit, others do crosswords. I scratched lottery tickets. I bought it with my own money, I murmured, my voice barely a whisper. From the jar, Ryan scoffed. The jar, that's the grocery jar, Ma, not your personal ATM. You don't have money. We pay the bills, we feed you, you live here for free. Remember, free. The word landed like a slap, stinging more than any physical blow. Free, as if the double shifts. I pulled at the diner, raising him alone, after his father died too young, in that mining accident, meant nothing, as if the savings I handed over for their down payment on this very house never existed. As if the mornings I walked Lily, our granddaughter, to school while they slept in, or the nights I stayed up cradling her through fevers, were just background noise in the grand symphony of their lives. I don't think a $5 ticket, I began, but he cut me off. It's not about $5, it's about respect. You're 72, Ma, not a teenager. Scratch-offs, seriously, grow up. Dana finally piped in, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. We're just saying, maybe it's time for a new routine, something less. Embarrassing bile rose in my throat. My fingers curled, gripping the edge of the table. I felt minuscule, invisible, like wallpaper in my own life. I longed to tell them what that tiny piece of paper meant to me, how the woman at the register smiled and asked if I wanted the usual, a fleeting moment of recognition in a world that rarely saw me anymore, how the rasp of the coin on paper felt like control in a life where everything else had slipped through my grasp. But I said nothing. I folded the ticket, a small, secret act, and tucked it into my cardigan pocket. Ryan rolled his eyes, the sound of judgment louder than words. Don't say we didn't warn you, he muttered, turning away. Dana followed, their retreating figures a silent dismissal. I sat there, alone at the kitchen table, the same table where I once fed Ryan oatmeal and sang him lullabies, the same chair where I sewed patches onto his worn jeans because we couldn't afford new ones. Now I was a burden, a joke, a festering sore. I looked around at the house, the living room with the TV I helped pay for, the nursery I painted when Dana was too pregnant to climb, the garden I tended because no one else would pull weeds. It all screamed home, yet none of it felt like mine anymore. I walked out onto the porch. Even in the early morning, the Nevada sun was a fiery presence. I needed air. Reaching into my pocket, I pulled out the ticket. It was a $17 million jackpot game, emblazoned with shiny red letters and a small box at the bottom. Sign your ticket upon purchase to protect your claim. And I had, as always, my name, Evelyn J. Warren, was scrawled on the back in small, shaky ballpoint, dated this very morning. I hadn't even scratched it yet. My hands moved slowly, deliberately, as if I were defusing a bomb. First number, 7th, 2nd, 13th, 3rd, 21. I kept scratching, the symbols aligning. My breath hitched. Then I saw it. The numbers matched. The prize box revealed a string of zeros that seemed to stretch into infinity. $17 million. I stared at the ticket, not in disbelief, but with a sudden, profound certainty that settled deep in my bones. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I simply folded the ticket, carefully, like a sacred artifact, and slipped it into a sealed envelope in my purse. The rest, I knew, would come. But in that moment, standing alone on the porch of the house I'd helped build, branded unwanted by my own family, I felt something strange. Not revenge, not rage, but an icy clarity. They thought they were lucky, but they'd never bothered to look at the name on the back. They toasted their supposed win, but I held the undeniable truth. And for the first time in a long, long while, I knew exactly what to do with it. The next morning, the winning ticket safely tucked away, I went about my day as if nothing had changed. I swept the kitchen, watered the basil, even offered Dana a polite smile when she passed without a glance. I kept my silence. That afternoon, folding laundry, a prickle of unease snaked its way through me. I'd left another ticket, one I'd scratched and signed the day before, at the bottom of the wicker basket by the pantry. A small habit, keeping the non-winners for potential second-chance raffles, or just to recycle later. Harmless clutter. But when I reached into the basket, parting layers of towels and socks, it was empty. I checked everywhere, the waste bin, under the basket, the side counter, nothing. A quiet dread bloomed in my stomach. I didn't say anything. That evening, I cooked dinner, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, peas, just like always. I served Ryan, then Dana, then Lily, who barely looked up from her phone. I sat at the far end of the table, a phantom presence. Later that night, muffled giggles and the clink of glasses drifted from their bedroom. A cork popped. The next morning, a delivery truck arrived. A 75-inch flat-screen TV was wheeled onto the driveway. Dana, in silk pajamas, signed for it with a flourish. By noon, more deliveries, bottles of expensive wine, a designer handbag, new patio furniture. They never mentioned the lottery to me, not once, but they celebrated, they toasted. They danced in the kitchen late at night, assuming I was asleep. I watched them from the living room, knitting needles in hand, the same row of yarn looped and unlooped, undone and redone, like a nervous tick. Still, I said nothing. A part of me, a small, foolish part, wanted to believe they'd bought their own ticket, that this was something separate. But deep down, I knew. I knew because Dana left her phone on the table one afternoon, and the screen lit up with a message from her sister. $17 million. Oh my God, are you guys seriously not telling her? I didn't move. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. The dull ache in my chest confirmed it all. They had found my ticket. They had claimed it. They were spending it. And I was no longer part of their story. 2 days later, I went out to pick up the mail. When I returned, my key scraped uselessly against a newly installed lock. I knocked, bewildered. Ryan opened the door halfway, avoiding my gaze. "Ma," he stammered, his voice laced with rehearsed sympathy. We need space right now. With everything changing, it's getting a little crowded." "My things are inside," I said, my voice flat. "We put them on the porch," Dana called from somewhere behind him. And there they were, 2 suitcases, a plastic grocery bag overflowing with my shoes, and the empty wicker basket. I didn't cry. Not then. I didn't raise my voice. I simply picked up my things, one by one, and walked to the curb. They didn't offer a ride, didn't offer money, didn't even offer a chair. Just a closed door, the faint sounds of a party inside, and me, outside again. The woman who raised him. The woman who tucked him in at night while working double shifts. The woman who made that house a home. Now reduced to silence, to luggage, to a $5 scratch ticket they thought was forgotten. They toasted their luck, but they never once looked at the name on the back. The public library smelled of dust and disuse, but it was warm, and it had free Wi-Fi. That was enough for now. I had nowhere else to go. They hadn't even waited for a proper goodbye, just locked the door and shoved my life to the curb. I carried what I could and walked 3 blocks to the one place that always offered quiet without judgment. The librarian, Angela, recognized me. She offered a brief nod before returning to stamping returns. I sat near the window, plugged my battered flip phone into the charging station, and wrapped my coat tighter around my knees. The cold in my bones had nothing to do with the weather. I didn't have a plan yet, but I had the truth, and that was a start. I scrolled through my photo gallery, past dozens of snapshots, Lily eating ice cream, the garden in bloom, a pie I baked last fall. Then I found it. A photo taken 3 mornings ago, the lottery ticket, flat on the gas station counter. I'd snapped it before scratching, a little ritual, a record, just in case. I zoomed in. The numbers were clear, the date, the store address, my full name written in blue pen on the back. I took a deep, slow breath. They never even looked. I had signed the ticket, as always. They must have assumed it was blank, so focused on the prize they'd forgotten to check the truth. I opened my purse and pulled out the sealed envelope containing the actual winning ticket, the one they never realized I still had. I compared it to the photo. Identical. My name, my win, my life, not theirs. The idea of confronting them had briefly crossed my mind. Standing on the porch, slapping the ticket against the window, demanding they look at what they tried to steal. But no, that would devolve into shouting, into excuses, into lies. Instead, I opened the library's browser and searched for the Nevada State Lottery Commission. I found the contact page, a hotline, an address, a section titled Lost or Disputed Claims. I dialed. The woman on the other end had a calm, reassuring voice. She asked for my name, the game, the approximate time and place of purchase. I gave her everything, then offered to email the photo from my phone. She paused only once before saying, "If you have that image and the original ticket, please do not discard either. You'll need them for verification." I held the phone tightly. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming what was mine, and the game had only just begun. Tighter. I clutched the phone. "So it's not too late, ma'am," the voice on the other end, calm and gentle, replied. "If your name is on the ticket, and you're the purchaser, it is yours. It doesn't matter who found it or who claimed it. The law protects the registered owner." I mumbled my thanks, scribbled down a case number, and closed my battered flip phone. My heart, which had been a frantic drum against my ribs, began to slow. The library felt like a sanctuary, a quiet harbor in the storm of their betrayal. I walked the 6 blocks to the gas station, the cool air clearing my head. Inside, a young man with messy hair and tattooed arms, Danny, was behind the counter. "Hey," I said, "do you remember me?" He squinted. "Yeah, you buy those wild 7 South every Tuesday. You're the daisy sweater lady." I couldn't help but smile, a genuine, if fleeting, smile. "I need a copy of the camera footage from 3 days ago, around 10:30 a.m., I explained. "I bought a lottery ticket. Just need proof it was me." He hesitated. Then, after a quick call to his manager, printed a still image. It showed me, tired but undeniably present, wallet in hand, handing over a $5 bill. A real person. I thanked him and walked back to the library. That evening, I emailed the image, the original ticket, and my ID to the Lottery Commission. An hour later, the confirmation landed in my inbox. "Your claim has been logged based on preliminary information. The ticket is valid and legally yours. Please await formal review." Legally yours. I had no house, no bed, no family who wanted me, but I had the truth. And now, the state had it too. 2 days later, another email from the Nevada State Lottery. "Your identity has been verified. The ticket is officially registered under your name. You are eligible to claim the full amount as the rightful winner. Please visit the Carson City office to initiate processing. Anonymity options are available." Rightful winner. I read it 3 times, letting the words sink in. They had the numbers. I had the name. And now, so did the state. I chose the senior privacy clause, a provision allowing elderly claimants to remain anonymous if there was a potential risk of family exploitation. I didn't need press. I didn't need glory. I needed peace. And the law was giving me that. Meanwhile, on their side of town, the walls were beginning to shake. That afternoon, sipping weak vending machine coffee from my perch by the library window, my phone lit up. Dana, 6 missed calls. Ryan, 3 new messages. I opened Ryan's first. "Ma, did you find the ticket? We think it might have been yours, but it's no big deal. Let's talk. This could be good for all of us. Let's just split it 50-50ths. We already called the lottery office. They said there's a conflict of claim. What did you do?" I didn't reply. I just left the phone face down on the windowsill as it buzzed again and again, a trapped wasp. They had gone to the office expecting champagne and press cameras, but instead, they'd been told, politely, professionally, and immovably, that the ticket they held was invalid, that the prize had already been claimed, that the winner was not them, that the name belonged to someone else. I imagined their faces when it landed. Dana's outrage, barely masked by her forced charm. Ryan's jaw clenched, ready to rage at the clerk as if yelling could rewrite the ink on the back of a lottery ticket. They had rehearsed their acceptance speech, but they had never rehearsed humility. Now, they were grasping at straws, begging through texts, backpedaling through voicemails. Dana left a long message, her voice dripping sugar over barbed wire. "I know we've had our differences, Evelyn, but think of Lily, think of family. This money doesn't have to be a wedge. It can be a bridge. A bridge." They had set fire to the whole house, and now they wanted to walk back in and ask for tea. I powered off the phone, let it ring into nothing. Let them sit in silence for once, because I had no intention of going back, not to that house, not to that kitchen, not to the woman who called me a sore, and the son who let her. The money was mine, but more than that, the truth was mine. And for the first time in years, I wouldn't have to explain myself to anyone. It started with a post. Dana's profile picture, her head tilted just so, perfectly lit, appeared on my screen, even though I'd never followed her. One of the library clerks, seeing it on my phone, gently asked, "Is this about you?" The caption read, "Sometimes the people you trust the most will stab you in the back. We're heartbroken to say that Ryan's mother stole our winning lottery ticket. She took it right out of my purse. We tried to reason with her, but she's old, confused, and greedy. This was supposed to be for our daughter's future. Please pray for us." There were photos of them looking solemn on their porch, arms around Lily, like mourners at a funeral for fairness. Hashtags #elder abuse, #lottery theft, #family betrayal. The comments came fast, disgusting. How could a mother do that to her own son? Take her to court. She probably doesn't even remember what day it is. I stared at the screen, the coffee in my hand growing cold. So that was their move. They had tried to take the money quietly, and when that failed, they came after my name. They expected silence. They expected shame. But what they forgot was this. I had kept everything. That old phone I carried around like a relic. It had a better memory than either of them. That receipt I almost threw away, still folded in my purse. The ticket, still in the fireproof envelope the lottery gave me, and the camera footage from the gas station, sitting neatly on a USB stick in the inside pocket of my cardigan. I took a deep breath, then I walked to the front desk and asked to borrow a computer. I began compiling everything. First, the photo of the original ticket, signed by me. Then, the camera still from the store, showing me buying it in full daylight. Next, my bank statement confirming the $5 cash withdrawal at the exact time of purchase. I opened my text messages and scrolled through months of their bio until I found one from Dana that read, "We've put up with your crap long enough. Maybe you can go find someone else to mooch off of." I screenshotted it. Then, I attached the official confirmation letter from the lottery office, stating clearly that I, Evelyn J. Warren, was the sole registered claimant and legal recipient of the $17 million prize. I packaged it all into a single PDF. Then, I wrote a short, clear message, "To whom it may concern. A false claim has been made against me. Here is the truth, backed by documentation, timestamps, and state certification. I have not spoken until now because I did not have to. But since they want to involve the world, let the world see everything." I sent it first to the local news outlet, the same one that ran stories about pie contests and county fair winners. I knew they loved a hometown scandal. Then, I sent it to Emily. Not too late, the voice on the phone affirmed gently, "If your name's on the ticket and you're the purchaser, it's yours. Doesn't matter who found it or who claimed it. The law protects the registered owner." My heart, a frantic drum a moment before, finally began to settle. The library's quiet hum became a soothing balm. I walked the 6 blocks to the gas station, letting the cool Nevada air clear my head. Inside, Danny, the young man with messy hair and tattoos, looked up. "Hey," I said, "do you remember me?" He squinted, then a smile flickered. "Yeah, you're the daisy sweater lady. You buy those Wild 7 South every Tuesday." I managed a small, genuine smile in return. "I need a copy of your camera footage from 3 days ago, around 10:30 a.m., I explained. "I bought a lottery ticket then. Just need proof it was me." He hesitated, but after a quick call to his manager, he printed a still image. There I was, tired but undeniably present, wallet in hand, handing over a $5 bill. A real person. I thanked him, clutching the image, and headed back to my quiet sanctuary. That evening, with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years, I emailed the security footage still, the original ticket, and my ID to the Lottery Commission. An hour later, an email landed in my inbox. "Your claim has been logged based on preliminary information. The ticket is valid and legally yours. Please await formal review. Legally yours." The words resonated. I might not have a house or a bed, or a family that wanted me, but I had the truth. And now, the state had it too. 2 days later, another email arrived from the Nevada State Lottery. "Your identity has been verified. The ticket is officially registered under your name." You are eligible to claim the full amount as the rightful winner. Please visit the Carson City office to initiate processing. Anonymity options are available. Rightful winner. I read it 3 times, letting the full weight of those words sink in. They had the numbers. I had the name. And now, the state was confirming it. I chose the senior privacy clause, a provision designed for elderly claimants like me, offering anonymity if there was a risk of family exploitation. I didn't need a public spectacle or fleeting glory. I needed peace. And the law was finally giving me that. Meanwhile, on their side of town, the carefully constructed walls of their deceit were starting to crumble. That afternoon, sipping weak vending machine coffee from my perch by the library window, my phone vibrated incessantly. 6 missed calls from Dana. 3 new messages from Ryan. I opened Ryan's first. Ma, did you find the ticket? We think it might have been yours, but it's no big deal. Let's talk. This could be good for all of us. Let's just split it 50-50ths. We already called the lottery office. They said there's a conflict of claim. What did you do? I didn't reply. I just left the phone face down, letting it buzz like a trapped wasp. They'd walked into that lottery office, no doubt expecting champagne and flashing cameras, only to be told, politely but firmly, that the ticket they held was invalid, that the prize had already been claimed, that the winner wasn't them, that the name on the back belonged to someone else entirely. I could almost see their faces. Dana's faux charm dissolving into barely contained outrage, Ryan's jaw clenched, ready to shout at the clerk as if sheer volume could rewrite the ink on a lottery ticket. They had rehearsed their victory speech, but they'd never practiced humility. Now, they were scrambling, grasping at straws, their texts begging, their voicemails oozing desperation. Dana's long message was a masterclass in passive aggression, her voice a syrupy veneer over barbed wire. I know we've had our differences, Evelyn, but think of Lily, think of family. This money doesn't have to be a wedge. It can be a bridge. A bridge. They had burned the whole house down and now wanted to waltz back in for tea. I powered off the phone, let it ring into the void, let them sit in their silence, for once, because I had no intention of going back. Not to that house, not to that kitchen, not to the woman who called me a sore and the son who let her. The money was mine, yes, but more importantly, the truth was mine, and for the first time in years, I wouldn't have to explain myself to anyone. Then came the post, Dana's profile picture, her head tilted perfectly, illuminated by a halo of light, popped up on my screen. Even though I'd never followed her, one of the library clerks, seeing my phone, gently leaned over. Is this about you? She asked. The caption seethed with feigned sorrow. Sometimes the people you trust the most will stab you in the back. We're heartbroken to say that Ryan's mother stole our winning lottery ticket. She took it right out of my purse. We tried to reason with her, but she's old, confused, and greedy. This was supposed to be for our daughter's future. Please pray for us. Below, photos of them looked solemn on their porch, arms around Lily, posed like mourners at a funeral for fairness. The hashtags were a venomous cascade. Hashtag elder abuse, hashtag lottery theft, hashtag family betrayal. And the comments poured in, a torrent of digital outrage. Disgusting. How could a mother do that to her own son? Take her to court. She probably doesn't even remember what day it is. I stared at the screen, the coffee in my hand growing cold. So this was their final play. They tried to take the money quietly, and when that failed, they came after my name, expecting silence, demanding shame. But they forgot one crucial detail. I had kept everything. That ancient flip phone I clung to like a relic. It had a better memory than either of them. The receipt, I'd almost tossed, still folded in my purse. The actual winning ticket, still in the fireproof envelope the lottery commission had given me. And the gas station camera footage, neatly saved on a USB stick in my cardigan pocket. I took a deep, steadying breath. Then I walked to the front desk and asked to borrow a computer. I began to compile first the photo of the original ticket, unequivocally signed by me, then, the camera still, from the gas station, showing me making the purchase in broad daylight. Next, my bank statement, confirming the exact $5 cash withdrawal at the precise time of purchase. I opened my text messages and scrolled through months of their toxic words until I found one from Dana that read, "We've put up with your crap long enough, maybe you can go find someone else to mooch off of." I screenshotted it, a perfect encapsulation of their true feelings. Finally, I attached the official confirmation letter from the lottery office, starkly stating that I, Evelyn J. Warren, was the sole registered claimant and legal recipient of the $17 million prize. I bundled it all into a single, irrefutable PDF. Then I wrote a short, clear message. To whom it may concern, a false claim has been made against me. Here is the truth, backed by irrefutable documentation, precise timestamps, and state certification. I have not spoken until now because I did not have to, but since they want to involve the world, let the world see everything. I sent it first to the local news outlet, the very same one that typically covered pie contests and county fair winners. I knew they loved a good hometown scandal. Then, I sent it to Emily. I had built something else now, something far more resilient. I pulled out a small blank card, adorned with a painted sunflower, and carefully wrote a single line. The home I built wasn't with walls, it was with memory that doesn't need repairing. No scolding, no venom, no invitation, just the quiet clarity of truth. I slipped it into an envelope and mailed it to the address listed on one of their old PTA mailers. I didn't know if they still lived there. I didn't need to. That night, I made a pot of tea. The mint I'd planted in my new windowsill garden was blooming, and I crushed a leaf between my fingers, letting its fresh scent infuse the steaming water. I sat in my armchair by the window, the soft Nevada sun still lingering on the horizon, painting the edge of the porch in hues of rose and gold. Outside, the maple tree rustled gently, a whisper of quiet contentment. Birds hopped through the grass, going about their simple, unburdened lives. The world turned, indifferent and beautiful. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to be seen to be free. I just was. Peace doesn't need applause. Healing doesn't ask for recognition. Sometimes, the loudest freedom is the one no one sees, the kind you feel in your bones, in your breath, in the warmth of your own quiet home. And that, finally, was enough. There's a kind of freedom that doesn't come from money. I had to lose almost everything to truly understand that. Because for all the headlines, for all the digital noise and public sympathy, what stayed with me most was not the number on the check, but the profound stillness that followed it. No more proving, no more explaining, no more asking to be believed, just being. And in that being, something surprising bloomed. Time to wake slowly, to make my tea with fresh mint from my window garden, time to read old letters I'd never had the energy to answer, time to listen to the music I used to love from before I became too busy raising someone else's dream to remember my own. One afternoon, I pulled out a cardboard box, one of the few things I'd carried with me since the day I was pushed out of that house. I had never unpacked it. Inside were little scraps of a life I once lived. Ryan's first report card, a crayon drawing of our family where he'd labeled me Queen Mama, a Valentine's Day card from my late husband, his uneven cursive always looking like it was running from something. I held it to my chest and wept, not because I missed them, but because I remembered myself in them, the woman I had been before I became someone's burden, someone's shame, someone's excuse. She was still there, underneath all the grief. She had survived. She had bought a lottery ticket with the last $5 in her grocery envelope, not because she expected to win, but because hope is a habit too. She had smiled when she signed the back, because she always did, and when everything was taken from her, she did not beg. She remembered. She remembered who she was. I began volunteering at the library. Angela, the kind-eyed librarian who had once handed me tissues when I read Dana's awful post, asked if I wanted to help sort the senior book donations. I said yes. Every Wednesday, I show up at 10 a.m., armed with homemade scones and old stories. I sit with women like me, some quieter, some louder, all of them with something in their eyes that says, I've been through something. We trade books, recipes, secrets we never told our children. They never ask about the money. They just pass me the sugar and listen when I speak. That, I've learned, is wealth. One afternoon, Lily came with a group of kids on a school field trip. She didn't see me, but I saw her. She was taller now, her hair longer, her eyes just like Ryan's when he was 6, and asked if clouds had names. She stood in the poetry aisle, reading Rupi Kaur with her head tilted, the way I used to when I stitched embroidery. For a moment I wanted to call her name, but I didn't, because sometimes, love is letting them find you when they're ready. And if she ever is, I will still be here. On the back porch, I planted a rose bush, not red, but white. My husband once told me, white roses are brave, They bloom without needing attention. They simply appear, soft and whole. I tend to them every morning in silence. I have no desire to move again, no interest in a bigger place. This house fits me now. I know every floorboard, every creak. And when the light hits the living room just right, I sit in my armchair and watch the dust motes dance, like they're trying to remember. Joy. I never replaced the photograph above the mantel. It's still the same. Me holding that ticket, a small smirk on my face, a glint in my eye that says, "You thought I would break, but I didn't. I bent. I bent until I became something stronger than steel." And beneath it, the plaque still reads, "They toasted their luck." I cashed the truth. People think revenge is loud, that it comes in slamming doors and courtroom showdowns. But the deepest revenge, it's quiet, it's dignified, it's choosing peace over performance. It's refusing to let those who broke you define what you do with the pieces. So I knit, I read, I laugh, I live. I live in a home built from memory, not apologies. And when the tea is hot and the light is right, I remember who I am, and who I'll never let them turn me into again. Thank you for sitting with me through this story. It's not an easy one to tell, but stories like mine often aren't. They are the ones that unfold behind closed doors, the ones that never made the photo albums, the ones we carried in silence because we thought silence was survival. But I have learned something, perhaps late, but clearly. Silence might protect peace, but truth defends dignity. I told this story not for pity, and not for revenge. I told it for the woman listening right now, who's been made to feel invisible in her own kitchen, in her own family, in her own name. I told it for every mother who gave more than she had, only to be written out of the happy ending. And I told it because when we say nothing, they write the story for us. Well, not anymore. On this channel, Grandma True Stories, we remember what they hoped we'd forget. We speak softly, but we say everything. If you found something in this story that echoed in your chest, whether it reminded you of someone you loved, someone you lost, or someone you finally walked away from, I hope you'll stay with us. Subscribe to Grandma True Stories, because here, we tell the truths that don't go viral but stay in your heart. We speak not with bitterness, but with backbone. We don't scream, we remember. So pull up a chair, pour some tea, and let's keep telling the stories they thought we'd take to our graves. We didn't. We brought them here so the world would finally listen. And we're just getting started.